So, yay, it's
Yes.
live. So, my name is Judy. You guys know me from all the coffee chats that I've been doing lately. I do them every day at 9 p.m. except for this one, which is at 10 p.m. because you guys didn't sign up until later. But I'm like, yeah, I still get to talk to freshmen, so it's awesome, and I'm really happy that you guys signed up last minute, so I don't have to do a monologue. So today we're gonna talk about how to pack, but before that. Quick introduction about me. I'm a rising senior. I studied mechanical engineering, and I came from Canada, which means that I had no idea what North Carolina weather was going to be like, and so I pretty much just Googled everything. And I ended up bringing two luggages of clothes, 80% of which I've already thrown away or donated by this point, because it's just like some of the clothes that you bring is just not applicable to Duke, not only because of the weather, but also because of the culture. And you'll realize that when you get here that some things are worn all the time and other things, even though they're weather appropriate, are not culturally appropriate at Duke, or like social culturally appropriate. So I'm here to demystify that part. You guys want to do your 30 seconds of intro? Mel, how about you start?
Well, I'm a upcoming freshman, and I actually have no idea. I've never been to North Carolina, so I don't really know what to expect. And I'm from Florida, so I really don't know what to
Mm,
expect when it comes to the cold or anything like that. So yeah, I've been Googling too, but I got no idea what's going on. So
yeah, I got you.
Mhm.
All right, Carissa?
Okay. Hi, I'm Carissa, and I'm from Montana. And so it's pretty cold here during the winters, and so I think it'll be pretty different. I've never been that far down south and also in the East Coast before, so I'm guessing it'll be quite different. So, yeah.
Okay, cool. So the first thing that you guys need to know is that Durham is humid. Oh, so well, you're already used to this because Florida is also very humid, but Montana I know is very dry, I think. The one time I went to
Yeah,
Montana,
yeah.
it was like super close to Calgary weather, which is where I'm from. So you will that's like the first thing that you notice when you come to Durham is it's super humid. And the second thing that you'll notice when you come to Durham is that it is relatively warm. So not as warm as Florida, Mel, but much, much warmer than Montana. Um, so some facts to put it into perspective. We've had a couple of days of snow, air quotes, snow. Um, Pretty much every single school year over the past 3 years that I've been at Duke. We've actually had snow days every single year that I've been at Duke. But the snow days are not necessarily caused by the volume of snow, because I come from Calgary, and in my 12 years of going to school in Calgary, we've had not a single day of snow day, even though we would get like 12 inches of snow. But I mean, like by the time we wake up, all the roads would be cleared because there are like 1,000,002 snowplows in Calgary that just like plow through all the roads. But Durham doesn't have that luxury of high volume machinery. So when you get snow, there are two things that happen. Either it's not so much snow, but then it freezes. What happens when it freezes is that like the weather gets warm during the day, and so everything starts to melt, and that night it like the weather dips below freezing temperature, and so everything freezes, and you get something like black ice or sleet, and so it usually is not because of the snow that school get canceled, but it's actually because it's too slippery to walk anywhere. So we've had a couple of days of that, like two, three, four in a whole school year. So don't count on that. It's awesome when we get snow days, but it's not the norm. And then the other thing that would happen is that we get too high a volume of snow. So in that case, I mean, it's just like it's too much snow, and it's ridiculous. Like coming from Canada to see people like wearing long sleeve whatever they have, and they're like wiping the snow off their windshield with their arm with their long sleeve jacket. I'm like, no, this is like breaking into my Canadian pride. I cannot watch people do this. And then like sometimes when there's ice on the windshields, like nobody buys ice scrapers here because just like this ice is such a rare occurrence, and so people actually like use whatever like credit cards they have, or it's like some thin edge, and they'll scrape off ice from their windshield. And so like on those days, I just try not to go out because it just hurts my Canadian pride so much to watch people struggle with such normal things from my perspective. All right, so that's a story to put it into perspective. But most of the time, it's like it's really nice weather, like anywhere from the 60s to the 80s in the fall and in the spring. In the summer, it gets to over 100, but hopefully you guys aren't going to be here over the summer to experience too much of that. I can talk about like things that you can do for the summer if you stay at Duke. That's a whole other chat. I'm not going to go into that can of worms right now. So expect to like bring t-shirts, bring a couple of sweaters because something that I've noticed in Durham is that because it's so humid, it gets pretty cold at night. So when the sun comes out, it gets super warm, but then at night it gets really cold, especially in the spring semester. And I don't know how much this is associated to my stress level and how much it is associated to just weather. Because what happens to me is that when I get stressed, I get really cold. And so I've always had to bring a sweater with me in the spring semester, whereas in the fall semester, I'm usually okay with just a long sleeve or a t-shirt and a light jacket. I think during November and December, not so much November. So December, January, February, it gets so also because of the humidity. Even though it doesn't get that cold, the cold does feel like it's biting you. So I would recommend layers. So jackets like windbreakers. You don't need a parka because it doesn't ever get cold enough that you would need anything down. But I would recommend not parkas, windbreakers, and then like hoodies, like quarter zips, all that jazz is good to bring in terms of like what you should wear. Pants wise, like jeans work, shorts work, skirts, dresses, all that shebang. I wouldn't bring. So this is like more Montana weather, so you don't need any like winter boots or snow pants because it never gets to that cold. All the boots that you would wear are actually just for fashion. So if you like to wear boots or booties, you would just do it because it matches your outfit, not because your feet are cold. I would definitely recommend flip-flops, but also flip-flops are like $5 each at Target that you can get here. Let me see. What else am I missing?
Would you suggest
Do you guys
bringing
have
rain
any
boots?
questions at this point? Yes, definitely bring rain boots. Although, so you would need rain boots here because it does rain a good amount here, and also when it gets so like going back to the snow, like even if we don't get snow days, like if it snows and then it melts, it's just slush everywhere. So the most practical footwear to wear are rain boots. But you can buy rain boots here at Target. I mean, like my first semester, I remember my big check-in luggage was overweight, and so I had to like open it at the security, or not at the security, but at the check-in gate, and I brought my alarm clock. But my alarm clock is super nostalgic to me because I was like it was a gift for me like 10 years ago from my best friend. So I brought it, and it still has a cassette player. That's how old it was. It was like vintage, and I loved it, and I needed it at Duke. But when I zipped it up, and like the person who was checking in my luggage knew that I was going away for college, she's like, "Oh, does Duke not have like alarm clocks that you can buy?" And she was like low-key making fun of me, and at that point I was a really scared freshman, so I was like, "Oh, I mean, it's a nostalgic thing. Like it means a lot to me, and it's not just because it's actually like a gift from my best friend." If she did that to me now, I would be like, "Excuse me, I don't have to justify what I bring in my luggage to you, who is just checking in my luggage. So I can bring whatever the hell I want." I digress. The point is, there are some things that you think you would need to bring from home, but you just end up like throwing it away, or like buying another more applicable thing here at Duke. Because like Durham is an established city, and there are Walmarts everywhere, there are Targets everywhere, there's a Costco, a Sam's Club. So I like there's pretty much nothing that you have in your hometown that Durham doesn't have as a city. So pack wisely, pack things that are sentimental to you, and of course, like pack enough clothing to survive through the semester. But you don't have to bring like everything but the kitchen sink in your luggage.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the long answer to your question. Do you need rain boots?
Yeah.
I just
That was
realized that was the
good.
first question, actually. It's like, oh, sure.
Yeah. Any
Okay.
other
And
questions?
so, could you like generalize the amount of clothing that you brought, like, or you bring usually?
Yeah. So I would bring like a big sized like 50 yeah, like I wouldn't say it by weight, but you know like those the biggest size that you can check in as
Yeah.
luggage. Yeah, I would bring like that much clothing. Of course, it depends on your
Mm-hmm.
personal style. If you
Okay.
just wear t-shirts all the time, I recommend you not bring a single t-shirt at Duke because you'll get so many free t-shirts here. You'll have to like give them away. Actually, every single year now I do this thing I call it the hippie movement, where I try to get rid of as much stuff that's not essential to my life. And the objective of this hippie movement is that because the net worth of my life is still the same, if I share it with less material goods, then every single material good that is left in my life has more value. This
I
might
had to,
be going too much into the economics of it, but anyway, there you will
I
be
had to
given
laugh at the part
a
with my
lot of
net worth still the same.
Mel. What?
I had to laugh at the part my net worth's still the same. Like, I'm still poor.
I wouldn't call you poor by any means. You're very rich in knowledge and very rich in potential, at the very least.
But not in monetary value.
Well, that's gonna change. So we talk about like discounted cash flow, right? And so like it's like the amount of so my boyfriend's an investment banker, and so that's why like I can't stop talking about these things now. But discounted cash flow is how much money you're going to make in the future, not how much money you have now, but like with everything um, taken into account. So I would definitely not call you poor in monetary assets or in any means because you just got into Duke and you have 4 amazing years ahead of you, and you're going to achieve great things with great value assigned both in monetary and in life value in general. Good? Trust me on this one. I definitely was in your shoes, and I couldn't really see how that would be possible if somebody told me what I just told you 3 years ago. Uh, was there a question that I was answering? I don't. Oh, how much clothes I would bring? Yeah, so I would bring that much clothes.
Okay.
Yeah, and then obviously you're gonna go home. Like you live in Montana, so you're probably gonna go home for Thanksgiving. Like Florida, same thing. You might even go home for fall break, even though I don't recommend it. I lived in Canada, so I didn't go home until December, but I still brought stuff. Like I still brought some stuff back home, or just donated it after my first semester, and I brought stuff back from home as well for my second semester at Duke. So you don't have to get it right the first time, especially because you guys both live in the United States. If you were international, that would be a little bit of a different case, but for internationals out there, I would still recommend you not bring that much clothes into Duke because this goes back to what I was saying about what is socially, culturally appropriate instead of just weather appropriate. Like you'll find, and this is everything that I learned at Duke because I grew up in a pretty like modest city. Um, Calgary doesn't have to be very modest, but like I grew up in a modest part of Calgary. And so we just wore like what we had in our closets from 10 years ago, and nobody judged us. But at Duke, there are certain things that are very popular. So like Vineyard Vines is a really popular brand. Non-ticket red shorts was really popular 2 years ago. I'm not sure if it's still popular now. boys wear boat shoes all the time, which I think looks terrible. Um, but like that's popular. I'm not gonna argue with that. And then girls wear a lot of jersey. What do you call it? Spirit jerseys. Uh,
I don't know.
Yeah, spirit jerseys are
What are
like
those?
those like long sleeve shirts, but like on the back it says something in big letters. So like Duke University in big letters, and it looks like you're kind of a bat. I I am definitely
Oh,
not a fan in terms of fashion sense, but they're comfortable, and everyone else wears them. So it's like back when Uggs were in style, where like way back when where Crocs were in style. Definitely not the best looking piece of clothing, but because everybody else wore them, it was acceptable that you wear them. And a little bit like peer pressure to wear them. Um,
okay.
yeah. So hats and mittens, like mittens I would recommend, especially so for second semester there's a thing called tenting. If you're a basketball fan, or you're just like are curious about the scene, you would tent in Shashevskyville or Kville for short. I totally butcher that name. Kville for up to 3 months. You can start anywhere from January until March for the big March end of March game with UNC and Duke. So if that in that case, I would definitely recommend. I might even do like another chat about this in December. I would definitely recommend you like go back home and just grab a shit ton of as many as warm clothes as you can find. So like hats and mittens and scarves and layers of clothing, and hand warmers are a big thing, and wooden socks. But we're talking about first semester here. I don't want to freak you guys out. First semester, there's no crazy tinting weather that you have to prepare for, so I would just bring like the casual, what you would expect of uh, southeast coast weather.
hmm
Yeah, and not bring that much.
Um, you might have mentioned this in your chat yesterday, which I think was about food, but I don't think I listened to the whole thing just because it stopped working for me. But are there grocery stores on campus?
Yeah, yeah. So before I answer that question, if it's not working for you, even because, well, so even though I say it's live streamed, it's actually on YouTube forever until I take it off. So you can go back anytime and listen from wherever it stopped forward. Uh, all right,
hmm
now to answer your question, yes, there are grocery stores. So there are two big grocery stores that you can access by foot from East Campus. The one that is the most popular because it's the closest is called is Whole Foods, and it's right across the street from East Campus. So you can see Whole Foods from your house, or from your dorm.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah, so Whole Foods is a little bit like you guys know, Whole Foods is a little bit on the pricier side because a lot of the things that they offer are organic. So if you want to buy lots of things, or want to be a little bit more economical with your money or with your food budget, there's another store called Harris Teeter's, and that is on Ninth Street, which is about a block and a half away from East Campus, depending on where you live. So
Mhm.
not a far walk, especially if you go with your friends and you only get like enough food to cook for one meal or for a couple of meals in a week. You guys can like share the burden and then carry all the food back. And it's like not too far of a walk, especially if you have good company. Then you forget that you're carrying heavy bags.
Okay.
Yeah. Hmm. Mel, do you have any questions?
Not really. Like, Carissa basically asked everything that I had to ask. So,
Yeah,
Uh,
Carissa, take him up for the team.
well, going back to what you were talking about, like the whole like dressing, is it just the peer pressure you feel like for like being fashionable, or is there something else like that, like as a
yeah.
regional culture?
I
that
second
affects
that.
the.
So both. I am not the most popularly dressed person in school, if that's even a thing that exists. Yeah, Mel. So take everything that I say with a grain of salt. But from what I've observed, it's both. So there is definitely a social, not a social pressure per se, but a social norm to what you wear. So the sorority scene at Duke is pretty prevalent. 50% of Duke students are, or Duke undergrads are in a fraternity or sorority, and they often have these clothing orders where people would design like T-shirts for their events, or like spirit jerseys for branding purposes, and tank tops and stuff like that. Um, so like lots of sorority girls wear things that have like their Greek letters branded. Sometimes like sororities and fraternities will trade T-shirts for like events that they have together. So that is definitely one part of it, because if you do the math, if 50% of Duke students are in a Greek system, then 25% of Duke students are going to be wearing like sorority-related Greek stuff, and then 25% are going to wear fraternity stuff from the very beginning, and then it permeates outside because you can be an independent, which means you don't belong to a Greek or SLG association, but you can have friends that belong in that organization, and you would buy a T-shirt to support them. So your T-shirt would say like whatever, gamma phi beta or phi tau, something like that. And then the other part is the practical sense, like why do people in the South wear things that are the same? So I can't speak too much about that because I am Canadian, so I'm just learning this from the get-go. But I've been doing fine. So the disclaimer is that even though I can't tell you like the socioeconomical behavior analysis behind this, like from what I've just observed as a plain Jane, I've been able to do fine in my wardrobe choices. But of course, like from the practical sense, what I said before, like wear things that would allow you flexibility between like the hot, humid day during the daytime, and then like the biting wind and air that you would feel at night. Um, and then like rain boots for slush or for lots of rain. That's pretty much it. And then like shorts that show off your beautiful legs, if that's your boat that you ride on, or like sweatpants that show off nothing and basically tell people to like not talk to you because you're just not in the mood to socialize that day. If that
It's like me
is
every
what
day.
floats your boat, I've been in both situations, so I am a full-on supporter.
Well, I guess just out of curiosity, would you say the culture in North Carolina is more conservative or the other way, like in terms of dressing? Because I know like some areas, like my family is from Taiwan, and whenever I go back, I never bring like shorts that are too short or like thin straps because that's just not really that uh, culturally normal, you know what I mean?
Okay, culturally appropriate is what you're looking for, I guess.
Yeah, I totally understand what you mean. Because I'm from China as well, and there are some things that I wear that I've had the mistake of wearing back to my grandparents' place, and they would be like, "Our
Yeah.
family name has been scarred forever."
I'm Cuban, so I'm just gonna stand here and
Mel, what's that?
I'm Cuban, so I'm just gonna stand here and like we wear short shorts and like thin straps for everything, so like because
Well, what I'm about to tell you, Carissa and Mel, is going to make you really happy, which is that if America is the pinnacle of freedom, then Duke is the pinnacle of America, which is that you can wear whatever the heck you want, and nobody's going to judge you for it.
Okay.
Actually,
Good.
now that I think about it, not true. Not true. You
wow.
wear whatever the heck you want, and if you don't give a fuck, then you're gonna be the happiest clam on campus. Because there is judgment going around just because like um, there is a certain expectation from certain like organizations
Were
that
you
you
trying your
should
hardest not
wear
to say
things
the wrong
one
thing?
way. What's that?
Were you trying your hardest not to say the wrong thing or incriminate
Yes.
anyone?
Yes. Thank you for recognizing that. So yeah, there's also the culture that your clothing sometimes would uh, like you're expected to wear like certain clothing if you want to fit into like a certain social ladder. But I mean, nobody knows what that social ladder entails when they first come into Duke. So I wouldn't stress about it at all. The beauty of being a freshman is that everyone knows you're experimenting, and so you guys have so much leeway to experiment and to figure out what niche uh, you go into. Like personally, for me, I don't give a fuck anymore about what people think. I do myself. I know what I'm good at. I know I'm not what I'm not good at. Today I'm sporting elephant pants. Here you can see here. And if
Those are
I walk
awesome. What do you mean?
thank you. So if I walk around Duke campus and some people are like, oh, like elephant pants aren't the norm here, I'm gonna be like, excuse me, that's only because you don't have the good fortune to have seen these elephant pants, whereas I have. So I feel sorry for you, and you're really great for myself. That's like going a little bit more extreme, but honestly, don't stress about what to wear to fit into what crowd. Like this isn't high school anymore. Duke is the ultimate like platform of free expression. If you want to express yourself in a certain way, you have the support of pretty much all the Duke students, all the school administration, faculty to express yourself in that way, as long as it's legal and it obeys the community standard.
Sounds good.
Just in case nobody sues me for what I have just said. So
I
it needs
got
to be
that.
legal and it needs to obey the rules. Um, yeah, yeah, but don't worry about the social culture too much.
Okay. Um, and do you have like a favorite shopping place or like area in Durham?
Yeah. Okay, so I love shopping, so I love that you asked that question. There are a couple of shopping places in Durham that I go to frequently. In terms of like getting everyday items, Harris Teeter is what I go to because it's the closest and it's like it's reasonably priced. And so if I forget toothbrush or toothpaste or whatever, I go to Harris Teeter. Actually, let's go back in a little bit. So there are these tiny little grocery stores in Duke campus. So there's one on West campus called the Lobby Shop, and there's one on in Central campus called Uncle Sam's or something like that. I've never lived on Central campus, so I don't remember this. And then on East campus, which is where you guys will be living, there's I think it's just called the Duke store on East campus. It's like super lame name, but you guys will know it right away. And it's like right by Marketplace, so that's where you can buy like frozen foods and milk and eggs and butter. Pretty much like all the essentials that you would need. Something that you should notice if this is something that you care about is that they do jack up the price a little bit because they ship it from another vendor. And then like just because you're on Duke campus, you pay a little bit more for the convenience of being able to stay on Duke campus to buy all those things. Okay, now if you don't want to buy things on Duke campus, if you like need to buy more than just like a couple of eggs or a carton of milk, then I would suggest you go to Harris Teeter's for most of like the other stuff that you pretty much ever need. And then, so Carissa, your real question is like, where do I go to shop? Um, so I go to South Point to shop. So South Point is like a really nice mall. They have anything from Banana Republic to Nordstrom. They also have Nordstrom Rack. I think they have Macy's there. And then like Vince and Aldo and Michael Kors. They also have an Apple store there, which is where you would go if you have an Apple product that acts up anytime you're at Duke. And they also have a Barnes and Nobles there, a couple of good restaurants there as well. The only catch to that is that South Point is 20 minutes away from Duke. So if you want to go, you'd either have to Uber or carpool with friends who have cars. And I think they might do trips to South Point as part of like some niche like school organization. Like I think International House does trips to, but they do trips to Target, which is the other place that I would go to get like bulk groceries if you wanted to, if you don't have a Costco card or a Sam's Club card. And Target is about 10 minutes away. Yeah. They also have a shopping mall that's close to Duke. It's called Northgate, but I wouldn't recommend that one because Northgate doesn't have a lot of shops, and also the safety is not. It's like a sketch. A few years ago, I think there was a shooting in Northgate, and so I think like from that point, most people just avoid Northgate.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay. That's good to know.
I can't even imagine what they would avoid Norgate. Like,
You can imagine what, Mel?
I can't even imagine what they would avoid the place. Like, who knows? You know, everyone wants to get shot.
Yeah. Well, Duke is generally pretty safe. It's just like there are events that happen around Durham because Durham there's like as with any city and like there are poor places in Durham that you should just generally avoid.
Um, you you also take the bus to like places like, is there a bus from campus that goes out to places like that in the city?
Um, I've never heard of a bus that goes from Duke campus to South Point. Honestly, I would just Uber because especially if you're going to South Point to buy things, you're going to come back with bags and bags of things, and so you don't really want to wait for the bus in that case. I've never actually, well, now that I think about it, I've never heard anyone busing to South Point because it's just too far. Target, like I said before, International House offers trips to Target. They only offer it to international kids, but I highly doubt that those buses get filled every weekend when they do the trips. And so, if you really wanted to go to Target, you can make a case for yourself and just contact the director of iHouse and be like, hey, like, can I snag a seat on this weekend's Target trip? And most likely they'll say yes. Where did I also say like Harris Teeter? Um, so the bus system, there is a bus system here. You can Google it on the transportation site at Duke. So Google like transportation.duke.edu or anything like that, and they'll tell you like all the bus systems that are available on campus. There's Bowl City Connector, which is a free bus system that goes from Duke to downtown Durham. Oh, downtown Durham actually has some like boutique clothing stores. So those are nice to visit too, but it's not like a street full of boutique clothing stores. It's like a street of like really good restaurants and the bookshop, and then maybe one or two like interesting stores where they sell clothing. Ninth Street also has some boutique shopping,
Mhm.
but I mean those can get expensive because it is boutique. Let me think. And then what else for the bus system? There's a Go Pass that you can get as a Duke student, and the Go Pass gives you free access to all the buses that go around Durham. So the buses that go like close to Duke, that stay close to Duke and to downtown Durham, I would definitely recommend you trying out those because you can explore different sites in Durham. But the buses that go to like I think it's North Durham or let me think, it's northwestern of Duke. So northwestern Durham, like those are not safe areas. So I would avoid those areas as much as possible. Right, I think right now you just need to come on campus because the first few weeks that you come on campus, there's going to be so much information thrown at you that you're not going to be able to, like, you're not going to have time to worry about, like, what bus should I take to get to South Point, or like what clothes should I wear to fit in. Maybe like the clothing thing is more of a feasible thing, but you definitely won't be wondering like, oh, how can I snag a seat on the Target bus by iHouse when I first come. Oh, that reminds me. So as part of orientation week, Duke actually hosts a Target run for all the freshmen. They actually have a deal with Target to like, it's called like a midnight Target run or something like that. So they bus all the freshmen to Target, and Target has like all these giveaways for freshmen as they come in, and for a night, for a couple of hours, you just have the entire Duke class of 2020 invade Target and buy everything off their shelves.
Okay. Sounds
Yeah.
like what we should do.
Yeah. So, I now that I think about like everything that I talked about, I was a little bit all over the place, but I mean, yeah, I'm trying to like tell you guys as much information as I know, but most of this information you'll forget by the time you come to Duke, and then you just figure it out on your own. So who knows? Next year, in the summer when you have like a little bit of time, you can host your own coffee chats with freshmen, and then you'll be like, I remember what Judy told me now, and I remember how that makes sense.
No,
But
I can
most
do it too.
you have to figure out
I
on your
mean, I think it's just fun to hear like what you have to say. I mean, regardless of whether it's important, it's cool to just talk to somebody. Thanks
own.
for doing this.
Thanks for saying that, Carissa. That's exactly what I wanted to achieve with these coffee chats, is to tell you guys that there's at least one upperclassman. There's so many more than just me who wants to help you guys out. But I had this idea and I wanted to try it out to see if it was popular, and it turns out to be like pretty helpful for most people who have come on to the coffee chat. So I'm gonna keep doing them until I run out of topics. So one way that you guys can help me is that you can message me with any topics that you want me to talk about, because it's been a few years since I've been a freshman, like waiting to come to Duke. So I don't remember some of the anxieties that I had, but I definitely remember that I did feel a lot of anxiety, thinking about like, how do I set up my Duke career so that this first day that I come into Duke, I am all set for the rest of my life, which is not true and it's not going to
Never gonna
happen.
happen. It's never gonna
Everyone's
happen.
going to think that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
I think I'm out of questions.
Yeah, likewise.
Okay, cool. Well, before you guys go, one more thing. So, a few of my friends and I were rolling out an app at Duke to host more things like this. So not just with upperclassmen, but with fellow like freshmen too. And it's a mobile app called Walla, WALLA, and it's a spontaneous hangout app where you guys can meet like-minded people to talk about like what you think of Duke, or like play video games or have jam sessions or whatever. So I'm going to be on it. All the East Campus RAs are going to be on it, and it's just a really great way for you guys to meet new people. So as part of that, we started an Instagram page called holla.walla, so like holla.walla, and like you guys can find it all over my Facebook page because I cannot ever stop talking about this. I'm so excited for you guys to try it out. But right now we have videos of upperclassmen saying hi to you guys and just saying like how excited they are for all the freshmen to come.
That's cute.
Cool.
Yeah. Yeah, so you should check it out.
All right.
Great.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I think that's it for the shopping thing. I'm going to stop the broadcast now.
Okay.